All right. And we are
Hey,
live, brother.
We are live.
Welcome back to another version of the Ron and John Show. And I'm Ron.
And I'm John. And we are the Ron and John Show. We're known coast to coast like butter and toast. We can make ISIS surrender or die, or make even the nerdiest guy look kind of fly. We can drink like we've been singing all night long, and we can sing like we've been drinking all night long. So if you're looking for a good time, don't you delay. Tune into the Ron and John Show, because me and this Ranger here, we lead the way. Boom.
Boom.
What's up, brother?
Brother, just, you know what? I'm reeling. I'm reeling off of coming off of an amazing week, you know, that we wrapped up out there at Goodfellow Air Force Base, and an awesome weekend of just kind of taking all that in and just being present with that, you know, and also it was a good time for some recovery from that scunion that you laid down on.
Hey, brother, don't sell yourself short, man. I will tell you that, you know, you and I were discussing here on the pre-show, but, you know, every time you and I go out and do something like that, and for our audience out there, if you missed the show last week, Ron and I were live from Goodfellow Air Force Base in San Angelo, Texas. We had, you know, within COVID rules, we had about 75 service members that were there for the live show. We were able to have great discussions with our backbone of our military, our non-commissioned officers, and spend a lot of great time with the 344th MI Battalion. But brother, I was going to tell you, when we got out that morning and executed that PT session with those trainees, and of course, you know, the old first sergeant there, he wasn't bullshitting. You know, he brought out his best athletes. And for you and I to put that scunion on that ass, to show this young generation that old man strength is still around and we can still get after it. It was phenomenal, brother.
Oh, and we did, you know, and it was getting the old command sergeant major there involved and hyping everybody up. It was incredible. And, you know, just as you said, you know, just before, you know, in our little green room here was, you know, for those students, for those new soldiers, right? That impact that of us coming in there that made, I mean, they enjoyed the hell out of it. I mean, I remember, you know, the dialogue after was, is this, do you do this often? You know, do you all, you know, travel different bases? And, you know, this is incredible. So, you know, and hopefully it's something that left a strong mark on them, you know, as they push through their career and see that, you know, not only are we getting after it as far as what they can do, training with their NCO Corps, but what they can see be as future leaders themselves as examples. Yeah,
absolutely. And I will tell you, you know, the 344th MI Battalion treated us just phenomenally. The entire staff at, you know, Goodfellow Air Force Base took care of us.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but when we did that NCO induction ceremony that kind of culminated our visit, and you and I were walking down with the command sergeant major there, and we got into position, and the national anthem started playing. I almost teared up, brother, because you know, and I made a post on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter about it afterwards. That, you know, since you and I met in the shit house back at Veterans Lending Group headquarters, you know, that we've kind of been on this trek and this mission to get out and make sure that we are educating, informing, and inspiring not only the active duty force, but our veterans and family members. And it kind of hit me there, you know, the culmination of this trip of how successful it was, with not one, not two, but 5 leadership seminars and transition seminars. It was just phenomenal, brother.
Yeah, it's something that I not soon forget, you know, and being able to make that impact and you know, see, you know, and interacting with them. Hey, how many of you know about, you know, how far out you're supposed to be, you know, looking at your benefits and all along how this stuff culminates and goes, and what do you know about this benefit and the VA home loan, and, you know, not only that, but, you know, as you were getting after it as far as what they can do as leaders and what to look forward to, but the appreciation, I think, was reciprocated, and it was certainly felt. And all the NCOs that are watching this, that we had a pleasure of meeting and interacting with, it was definitely felt. the passion both ways of what you all do and what you get after.
Yeah, it was, it just reinforced what I already knew, that the greatest competitive advantage we have over any threat and the backbone of our entire military is our non-commissioned officer and petty officer corps. And it showed out again at Goodfellow with all those NCOs that we saw and interacted with. And, and then the old first sergeant there, Varner there. I got to give him a shout out. That is one hard dude,
Yeah.
And, and then the Sergeant Major Lauer is another guy. Now, he's a little feller, but he was hard as nails too, man. And to see those guys out getting after us. Now, they brought one of their NCOs out there, and that little feller looked like he was struggling a little bit, but he showed out as well. And he wasn't about to, show weakness. But I thought there was a few times, because he was next to you, that you were going to have to put the clackers on him, man.
Oh, yeah. I think that's kind of toward the end where I was kind of rolling through, and I was like, all right, everyone's starting to suck right now. So I rattled off the 6 stanzas of Ranger Creed as I'm barking through there, and I think I might have looked in his direction or at him, I forget. And then, Command Sergeant Major Laurel starts going off. But I remember one telling everybody they're going to be future paratroopers and whatnot. But at one point I saw this, whoever it was, somebody standing there at the tire, getting ready to flip the tire, just hands on hips, willing this tire to go up. And I was like, okay, maybe they're catching their breath. And then I just had to say it. Move that tire! Move that tire! And, oh shit, he starts moving and flipping over, turns around and ends up being First Sergeant Varner.
Yeah. Hey, and then just the way I saw him, that grizzled old first sergeant that was getting after business and everything. And he probably doesn't consider himself old, but he was a lot older than the demographic we were PTing with, which I think there was one that was 29 and the rest were in the 18 to 22 year range. But it was just phenomenal. And it's not going to stop, brother. Next Monday, we're going to be on Joint Base Lewis McChord, spending time with the mighty Lancers of 2nd Stryker Brigade 2ID. We're going to hand out some entrenching tools brought by Veterans Lending Group to the top squad there. And we're also going to do a leader development session with all the first sergeants and sergeant majors. So looking forward to that too, man. Oh,
that's going to be fantastic. And, I love what we're doing is with this, as far as a top-down effect, and it's great to see and that reception. And I think we're going to do a lot of good there, in imparting some knowledge with them and showing that, a little bit on the other side. I was kind of liken it to, there's a lot of different analogies for transition, but Game of Thrones, right?
Oh,
you ever seen that? Where he goes over and he comes back and he's like, oh shit, I've been over there and I've seen what's happening. I feel like that's what we are when we come back into those gates and we're like, listen, shit's a little bit different. Here's what you can do to prepare yourselves. And I think that had we had that or seen some of those talks as we were coming up, we'd have probably looked at things a little bit different, and really glad that we're able to do that, and they're paying attention. They really are. Shows.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, so we are still in the midst of getting after our PME hard kind of month here. Our guest, Lieutenant Commander Jesse Iwuji, having some technical difficulties right now, so we'll wait and see if we can get Jesse in here right now. So to the audience out there, we got 2 guests today. Jesse Iwuji, who's a Naval Reservist, Lieutenant Commander, but a former Naval Academy football player and a current driver on the NASCAR circuit. And then following him is my good friend and a guy that I spent 4 years with as the SEAC, Master Sergeant retired, Air Force Master Sergeant retired, Rob Wilkins, who now works on the President's Council for Sports, Nutrition, and Health. So he'll be coming on later in the show. But, Ron, one thing I was excited about last week, not only with the engagements and everything, but the trainees who are just starting their journey on, in this military. and to have two veterans like you and I out there PTing with them, and we were giving them some harsh language in terms of this profession is brutal and unforgiving. We won't use some of the words we used last week, but I think it was an eye opener to some of them to realize that, hey, this is, you know, serving in the military, an expeditionary military, where it's not if but when you're going to deploy to either fight in combat or deter aggression or something like that. It's not all beer and Skittles, you know. And you got to put the work in every day as a tactical athlete to make sure you're prepared for the worst day of your life, and that could be overseas somewhere against an armed enemy.
Absolutely, and you know that it just continues to build that PME hard mentality, right? And it begins with that there's a reason why physical is the first word there, because that's where it starts, that's where it begins. But you know, I learned something as well in going there and being a military intelligence training battalion and that goes for other branches. But you know, as they call themselves, you know, affectionately, the nerds, right? But you know, you hit something on the head there, John, is where you're talking about them us being that expeditionary force. Is these nerds, you know, when we heard First Sergeant Varner talk about, you know, his deployments and where he was at, and you know, he's carrying, you know, a shitload of stuff on his back, you know, tracking down and hunting down the enemy, so that way, you know, the attachments that he's with can get down, hunt them down and destroy them in place. And so it doesn't matter, you know, it's no longer is it like, oh, just the 11 Bravos and the grunts and, you know, the Rangers and this, that, and the other, and of road marching, all that. No, your job is now going to be, you know, more often than not forward or somewhere in a capacity where you have to get up, you have to move, you're going to have to go up that hill, you're going to have to run through that building, you're going to have to jump over this wall, because you are going to be with these assaulting forces and these assaulting elements in some cases.
Well, I see Jesse is here, and so, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Naval Reservist Lieutenant Commander Jesse Iwuji. Jesse, how are you, sir?
There he is. Jesse, welcome.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for having me. You can hear me pretty good, right?
Yes, sir. We got you loud and clear.
All right, cool. Just making sure.
Hey, so I hope you don't feel tag teamed here by two Army guys up against a Navy guy.
I'm ready to
go. Hey, we wanted to say thank you for coming on to the Ron and John show, Jesse. It's truly an honor to have you on here, not only because, you know, both Ron and I are veterans now, and you're still defending our freedom, but because you have not only advancing your military goals, but you're also advancing your athletic, your professional goals. So can you kind of talk to us, Jesse, about how you came to go into the Naval Academy and becoming a football player, and then how you rapidly transitioned, knowing you were going to be a commissioned officer in the Navy, but also transitioning to where you are now as part of NASCAR?
Yeah, it's been a pretty fun journey. A lot of stuff has happened over the last 5 years. You know, I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. Both of my parents immigrated from Nigeria to the U.S. in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my dad came first, and when he came over, his dad told him, he's like, son, when you go over to the United States, just understand that it will be a complete shame if you do not succeed. Like, there's way too many opportunities there. That's what he told him. He didn't say, hey, son, I love you, you know, stay in touch. He was like, do not fail.
Awesome.
So I wish more parents would tell kids that today, but hey.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, he came over in the 80s, got his education here, got his bachelor's degree, went back, married my mom, brought her back here, had me and my two brothers and my sister in Dallas, Texas. They decided to settle down there. And growing up in Dallas, everyone knows, you know, football is the king in that state. So, you know, I grew up around a lot of football, and so that was the thing that naturally took its course in my life. So going into high school, you know, I made this goal that I wanted to go off to college and play college football. And I wasn't very good at football to begin with in high school, but I worked my freaking butt off every single day for about 4 years until I put myself in a position where I could actually get recruited by a school. The Naval Academy was the biggest school recruiting me at that time. And I just looked at the opportunity as a great one to go off to a great university, get a great education, be able to play football for a team that's, you know, doing really, really good in football. And then when I graduate, have a career pretty much started for me as an officer in the United States Navy. So it was just a win in all 3 different ways. Like, I mean, there's just no way to lose in that situation. So took the opportunity, went to the Naval Academy 4 years, played football there all 4 years. I know we beat Army all 4 years. Sorry.
See?
Had to throw that in there. But did that, had fun playing, and then when I graduated in 2010, I became a surface warfare officer. So for those who don't know, Navy jobs and what we do, surface warfare is basically on the ships. So I was on my first 4 years in the Navy. I was on 2 different ships. One was a minesweeper and one was an amphib. On a minesweeper, I went on one 10-month deployment with them. With the amphib, I went on one 5-month deployment with them. It's been about 15 total months in the Arabian Gulf between both of those ships. But in between that time, between the deployments and the underways at sea and all that stuff, when I was back home in San Diego, anytime I had an off weekend, I was really developing this passion towards cars and racing. So I would actually take my personal cars to different tracks in Southern California, like drag strips and road courses and all that. And I would do these track days with it. And I was like, man, this is a really cool time. Like, I love going to the track. I love going fast around corners. This is really cool. Why not try to take this to the highest level I can? I know I'm still serving in the Navy. I want to do it for 20 years, but why not, alongside it, become a professional race car driver? So I was literally sitting in my room one night in January 2014, pulled my whiteboard off my wall, erased whatever was on there, and just wrote in big words, become a professional race car driver. And that's when I began. And from there, I didn't know where to go or what to do. But, you know, us military folks, we know, hey, if we don't know where to go or what to do, just start researching and figure it out. You know, there wasn't going to be anyone who's going to just, you know, walk me through this whole thing. No one's going to hold my hand. No one's going to just write the script for me. I had to figure it out. And I knew that if I was going to make it to the end of this whole thing and get to the top level of NASCAR, which at that time I didn't realize I was going to go into NASCAR, but if I was going to get into the top level of racing, like, it was on me. Like, no matter what's out there, it's on me. I control the journey. No one else is. No one's going to stop me. Some people might slow me down, but no one's going to stop me. So from there, I was researching, trying to figure it out. Online, when you're looking online, you see all this negativity, people telling you you can't do it because you're too old. You know, at that time I was 26, I think. You're too old. You didn't start racing when you were 5 years old. You didn't come from a wealthy family. You're not this, you're not that, blah, 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 all this crap. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let this deter me. Like, I'm going to make it there. So I started putting my energy towards it, trying to figure out who can I meet? Who can I network with? I ran into a guy at a car show a couple months later who was racing late model stock cars, which is like kind of the lowest level of circle track racing. And he told me that it'd be a good idea if I tried testing one of his race cars that he races with. And I was like, sure, let me try to test one of those cars and see if I even like NASCAR stuff. I did it. It went well. The next year, he was like, hey, come back. You can race with our team, but it costs $5,000 per race. Lieutenant at the time, you know, I was making decent money. I wasn't making $5,000 to pay for racing every single week, that type of money. So I was like, okay, I had some money saved up from deployment. I was going to use that to pay for my first race. I used that to pay for my first race, to get in and buy all the stuff I needed and do this and that and rent the car and all that stuff. Ended up running halfway decent in that race. I was running about mid-pack, faster than half the field. And that's when I knew that I actually, you know, could do this. But from there, it was finding the money again. I was like, how was I going to find money for the next race? I did a crowdfunding campaign. A whole bunch of veterans and service members, all these people came together, Naval Academy grads, even some West Point people. Everyone came together to put into this crowdfunding campaign to get me to my next race. And then after that, I really had no more money. I took my credit card. $5,000 credit card limit. I'm maxing it out. Maxed it out. So I was nothing's going to stop me. I'm getting to where I'm going to go. I maxed it out. Get to the third race. Now I literally have no more money. But because we kept on getting the story out, because I kept on talking to people, networking, and just trying to grind every single day to keep going, that passion got out there, the energy got out there, people felt it. And then God put this guy in my life who ended up sponsoring half the season or the rest of the season for that year. And that's what allowed me to get through my first year. And then from there, I had a business that I started where I was hosting drag racing events. I used money I was making from that to get into my next races in 2016 and 17. Found some more sponsorships since then, linked up with a great agent, Matt Casto, who's been helping me since then to find more sponsorship and so on. But that's how we basically kind of got the ball rolling. And I would say 2.5 years into me getting into racing, I transitioned from active duty to the reserves. So now I'm in the reserves, still serving. But, you know, that's been the journey right there. And basically started with pretty much nothing 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And now 2020, we're at the second highest level in NASCAR. So it's been a pretty incredible journey. Had a lot of support from a lot of people, especially in the veteran community. It's been pretty fun.
Awesome.
How did that parlay with because you were active duty a lot of these years, these formidable years of your career? Mm-hmm. You know, the command, you know, support everything. Did you have to like sneak out here and there? Or?
Yeah, I had to jump the gate every No, so fortunately for me, you know, I had done my first 4 years, 5 years, 5 years, I guess, I don't know, whatever it is, 5 years in the Navy. You know, I was doing my sea time. You know, I was on the ships, I was doing all that stuff. After I came off my second deployment, I transitioned from sea duty to shore duty. So I had a lot more time. I wasn't going on deployments anymore. I was going to be basically, you know, on land, just basically on shore duty. For us, we're working, you know, 8 to 4 p.m. type jobs. It's not really too difficult. It's kind of like your time to kind of get your life back in order since you've been at sea the whole time and all that stuff. So that's the time I was like, hey, this is now or never. Like, now that I got time, I have pretty much all the off. Like, I'm going to go after racing now. And that's what allowed for me to do it. I probably wouldn't have had the same level of success or time or been able to really make it happen the way I have if I tried doing it while still on my sea tours.
You know, Jesse, one of the things I talk to troops about still, even though I've retired, you know, and just finishing up as the senior enlisted advisor to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs Staff, you kind of laid it out the way I talk to them. First and foremost, you have to dream big, you know, and to me, that's what you did, dreamt big. But then you set lofty, attainable goals. You visualized, you know, getting after those goals, and then you went out and actualized it. And as Ron and I use the term all the time, it wasn't always beer and Skittles during the journey, but in the end, it all worked out because of your persistence and things like that. So let me ask you this: from being, you know, two of the core tenets of being a sailor, being a professional seamanship and a disciplined watchstander, how did that translate into your professional sports kind of things? How did you carry some of those basic tenets of being a professional naval officer into being this successful athlete in NASCAR?
I can tell you a lot of things that translated from the Navy to the NASCAR side of things, like a lot. Like I'm happy I had the Navy before I got here, or else it would have been an even longer journey. You know, a lot of things. So as far as like even on the ability to speak in public, right? When I was first at the Naval Academy, we actually had a class. It was like a public speaking class or whatever, a speech class or whatever. I wasn't good at it at all. I remember the first time I got up in front of the class having to do some little speech, I was literally trembling. Like my legs were actually shaking. I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize I would get this nervous. I played college football in front of 100,000 people. I don't go hit people like whatever his name was, the guy who played for the Ravens, that running back, the one that got kicked out of the NFL.
Oh, Ray Rice.
Ray Rice, yeah. I was like, I don't tackle people like that, and I don't tremble. And I'm standing in front of like 20 people, and I'm like trembling. I'm like, man, I'm not good at this. But through the at the Naval Academy, through the training in the Navy, having to do it in front of my ship's crew. Anytime we do an evolution on a ship, we got to do these safety briefs. When I'm up there in front of the entire crew, giving this brief, the captain's sitting there, you know, wanting to know that I know what I'm doing because he's entrusting everyone's life in me to make sure when I'm off to the deck that we're doing all the right stuff. Like I had to speak in front of these people, and to be able to do it confidently, that's what allowed me to do the same things in NASCAR. So, you know, anytime I do speaking engagements and this and that, all the stuff I do off track with the brands that are sponsoring me and things like that. The reason why we're successful with these guys is because all the training I had in the Navy, on the communication side of it, you know, on the ship, anytime something happens, the first thing on a ship is establish comms. The first thing, you don't go grab a fire extinguisher, you establish comms. So comms between like ship to ship, you know, between our bridge team and combat, all these people, being able to communicate with people, get your message across so that they understand it in a concise way, It's the same things I got to do in NASCAR when I'm communicating with my crew chief, my spotter, all these people during the race. You're going 180, 190 miles per hour on the track, and I still got to click that little button on the steering wheel while I'm driving and talk to these guys and tell them what's going on. And that could be very calm, very concise, and understandable. All these things, these skills and concepts I've learned in the Navy. I was able to practice this stuff over and over in the Navy. Now I've been able to translate it over to the NASCAR world, and it's helped me be successful. And that's why we've been able to have the journey we've had in just 5 years, whereas a lot of people, they start when they're 5 years old and they don't get to the level I'm at until they're like 20, 21, 25.
Awesome.
John always talks about, PME hard, right? That physical, mental, and emotional strength and fitness. How important is physical fitness for your profession and what you do? I mean, some people look at that and say, oh, it's just driving. You're just sitting on your ass all day going fast. I mean, what do you have for those out there that might think that?
Yeah, people say that, like they're like, oh yeah, you're just turning left. Like, how hard could it be?
Just imagine that.
Yeah. They're like, okay, let me put it in a way that's understandable for you. So, like, imagine if you're going to an off ramp, right? You're on the highway and you're going, let's say you're on the highway, you're typically going 65, 70 miles per hour. Let's almost triple your speed and then go into an off ramp where there's 1, maybe 2 lanes, and then there's like 2 to 3 people alongside of you going the same speed into that off ramp. And then you all got to get on the brakes, get through it. And after you get through it, you got to do it like 200 to 300, 400, whatever amount of times. And also make sure you have your windows all the way up. You have your heater turned on hot. You're wearing like 3 levels of really, really hot coats, and no water, or you can have water, but you can't drink it all the time because you're driving. And it's ridiculously hot in there. And also with that heater turned all the way up, by the way, outside, it's already 105 degrees outside. So go do that for about 2 to 3 hours over and over and over. And tell me how that feels. And like, you tell me if that's, as easy as just sitting there turning left, every. If it's that easy, then great. You're a race car driver. Got it. You can do that.
Hey, Jesse. So being a surface warfare officer, I think we can agree, the worst thing that can happen on the ship, besides, fighting against an enemy out at sea, but having fire and flooding going on at the same time in the ship. Describe the worst day for being a NASCAR driver in terms of what really would challenge you out there, beyond having a crash and everything. What are some of the things that you've kind of put in your mind that could possibly happen out there, that would have you thinking back to if you had to do fire and flooding on a ship?
Yeah, having mechanical difficulties with the race car in a way where you're able to race, but it's slowing you down so much, and things are unpredictable. Like the worst thing you could have because of whatever is when the race car or the racetrack, everything feels unpredictable. You're only comfortable when you can predict what's going to happen. You can only be fast when you can predict that the car or truck is going to stick when you go in the corner, when you take it at a certain speed and you turn in a certain manner and you pitch it in a certain manner. When you can do all that stuff and you can predict what's going to happen and it's predictable and okay, every time it's going to do this, that's easy, or at least easier. But when you can't predict it because the vehicle is just acting super funky, it's not wanting to stick, it's getting super loose, it's getting tight, doing funky things. You just have a very bad setup or a very not so good setup on your race car. That's a bad day because you're out there for a couple hours and you're having to endure that. If there's issue, like I had one time at a race where we had an issue with the headrest on the car on the right side. For some reason, it like drooped down or something happened and it just like broke. So I didn't have a headrest on this side. Well, it doesn't seem like a big deal on any other car. But when you're going into a corner at 180 miles per hour and your whole body is stuck right here and there's nothing to keep your head from moving this way, all of a sudden your body's here and your whole head.
Oh, geez.
And all those G-forces are now pushing on your neck. For 3 days after that race, could literally, if I wanted to look to the left, I had to turn my whole body. That's how bad.
Oh, wow.
It was an excruciating in pain. So things like that, that's when you can have a really, really bad day. So the more you can work with your crew chief to make sure the vehicle's set up properly where it's predictable, make sure all the safety stuff in there is done right so that you don't have an issue like I did. Things like that. That's how you have better days. But yeah, if something's going wrong, you're out there for a few hours and you can't pull in. I mean, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Or if you cramp, that happened to me once where my right leg cramped on my.
Oh, wow.
Now, have you ever had a Charlie horse at night? Imagine being in a race car and you have a Charlie horse on your leg and you can't stretch it out. So you hold basically a Charlie horse that was doing its thing and cramping your hamstring for, I think it lasted for like 20 minutes straight.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That was bad. That was a really bad day.
Yeah.
So Jesse, for as far as your career, you're still obviously in the reserves, Navy Reserves. How does that look for you? What's the, and you plan on finishing 20 out? I mean, obviously with things that are going on in the world, you never know. That day might come for you where you get called up and having to do that job again. Where are you at with that? And as far as if you get that call, and what does that look like for your career?
Yeah, so still in the reserves right now. I'm still doing, my one weekend a month and my 2 weeks a year. In fact, earlier this year, I was in UAE for a couple of weeks before all the COVID stuff hit, and they sent us.
Yeah.
I'm still doing all that stuff, and the time could come where maybe we had World War III hits or whatever. I don't know. I have to mobilize. I haven't had to go on mobilization so far. My first 3 years now in the reserves, but you never know. I mean, things could happen. I don't know. I mean, I'm still in the Navy. I understand all my responsibilities, and for me right now, I chose to stay in. I didn't have to, but I chose to stay in for many reasons. One of them was because I wanted to show people in the military that a lot is possible. Like, you don't limit yourself. I'm out here. I got 3 businesses that I'm running. Racing in NASCAR, I'm in the reserves, I'm doing it all. Don't make any excuses for yourself. Like, you're capable of a lot. I think we have a lot of service members who transition out and all of a sudden start making excuses for themselves, feeling sorry for themselves, all that stuff. They don't know where to go, what to do. And then they end up, like life starts spiraling out of control. Next thing you know, why we have guys on the streets or doing drugs or drinking problems or whatever, just a lot of issues because they like no one helped them understand how capable they are. So I don't want to just only talk about it. I don't want to just sit here and tell someone you're capable. I was like, I'm not even going to tell you. I'm just going to show you how capable we are. And then from there, hopefully you can take it on yourself to go out and be everything you were meant to be.
All right, Jesse, I'm going to ask you a lighter question here now. So I know for the Naval Academy, you played defensive back. And the Navy quarterback from last year, Malcolm Perry, is in the Miami Dolphins camp now. And he is doing quite well as a wide receiver from all reports. He's built a good relationship with Tua, the quarterback there. So how do you think you as a defensive back would do against Malcolm Perry as a wide receiver?
You know what? So back in my heyday, back when I was back, the funny thing is I still got the muscles. I can say, but no, I definitely don't have the same level of explosion and speed as I used to 10 years ago. Back up if I work out and I run every single day, but I don't do it at the same level of intensity as I did back in the day. But I would say back then, I was best my senior year, I would say. And would I be able to cover him? Probably. I mean, he's fast, but I also was a sprinter myself in track. So I had some good speed and I had a lot of great receivers. So I feel like I cover him. I'm not saying that I would just lock him down and he would never catch a ball. He'd get some on me and I'd get some on him. But I don't know. I feel like I could probably cover him, He's
kind of a little fella too, isn't he? I mean, he's not he's
not huge, but he's not small either. I mean, I know he's not what's his name, Megatron, who played for the Lions.
Yeah.
But he's not tiny either. I mean, I think he's probably about 5'10", 11 or so, probably a good 195, 200 pounds or so. Like, so he's thick. I mean, he's not a little kid, but
Yeah. Awesome. Go ahead, Ron.
So question here. So on the NASCAR track, I mean, I'm sure it's no different than being on the field as far as talking shit, right? What has it come to a level to where you know, I mean, there's the, you know, a lot of type A's in there and driving close and all that stuff where you were just like turn into road rage where you're like, I'm going to get out of this truck and I'm whooping that dude's ass.
I'm sure I've thought about it a couple times, but yeah, no, there can be some trash talking here and there. I wouldn't say it's not at the same level as it is in like football and basketball and all those other sports. It's different for sure. I would say people are more to themselves than anything in racing. But, you know, there are like a lot of type A personalities in racing. You know, I try to run my own race. I don't try to worry about other people and all that stuff. I mean, one day, who knows, I'll get tangled up with someone. I don't know. But, you know, I've never had anyone like come at me crazy or sideways. I don't think they will either. But, yeah, no, it's, you know, there can be some aggression out there. The aggression mainly happens on track than off track. I know every once in a while you'll see a NASCAR fight, you know, two guys get into it for whatever reason. But most of the aggression happens on track. When you're out there, you're racing hard. I mean, your adrenaline's pumping and everything, and somebody, you know, throws a block on you, or you know, gets you loose coming out of a corner, or pushes you out of the way using the car. You know, like things like that will get you upset for sure. So, you know, I mean, you just gotta play with, you know, you gotta play through it and keep on going and try not to let that ruin your race. Because if you keep letting things stick in your mind, every lap you'll get slower and slower, and you're not staying on pace. You can screw up your whole race. You really got to kind of let things go and keep pushing forward.
Yeah. Well, hey, Jesse, we know that your time is limited here with us. But hey, Ron and I want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and for coming on here. You are a true example for anyone that's worn the uniform on how to be relentless at getting after your personal and professional goals. And we will leave the last word for you here for a message from you to our audience out there.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me on the show. And yeah, message to the audience, you know, for all the folks listening, service members, vets, you name it, whoever, you know, just understand that whatever journey you're taking in life, it can be difficult. It's not supposed to be easy. Don't let people trick you into thinking that because it's not easy, all of a sudden that's a sign that you shouldn't be doing it. That's false. You had a vision in your head. If you clearly saw yourself being somewhere and being someone and doing something, that means like God said that you that's where you're supposed to go. Like you have to go there. So don't let others deter you. Your family might try to deter you, your friends, your spouse, whatever. Don't let that deter you. Push forward. If they truly love you, truly care for you, they will allow you to push forward. Understand that life's not all about who's the most talented, but it's about who stays strong enough, long enough. So that's the biggest thing. It's all about who stays strong enough, long enough. That's going to be the person who makes it to the end, who makes it to the end goal, who accomplishes whatever they want to accomplish, no matter how dark it gets, because even in the darkest point of the night, the sun will rise. And never let someone's opinion of you become your reality. And that was my final. I think you got it right. Strong. Next.
Yeah.
Love Rob. Shout out to him.
Yeah. Hey, well,
that.
Jesse, I'm glad we're connected on LinkedIn, and I'd love to stay in contact with you here in the future. And we would love for you to come back sometime, you know, after you've been continuing to get after it and everything. You're truly an inspiration for everyone that served in the military, and certainly those that have aspirations to go on and reach more goals outside. So thank you again, sir. Really appreciate you having you as our guest.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jesse. Have a great one. Boom.
Wow.
Man,
is that guy sharp?
What an incredible story. Sharp, resilient. I mean, you talk about, you know, living the dream, coming from, you know, migrating from Nigeria, gets here, goes to one of the most competitive, you know, schools in the world, right? In Annapolis, goes on to deploy, sees a vision, executes it, plans for it, right? And here he is. And man, what a great story.
Yeah, he's just phenomenal American. We have another phenomenal American coming up, Ron. This guy is a close personal friend of mine. He is an Air Force veteran, retired Master Sergeant, but he also has a critical role right now. He is on the President's Council for Sports, Nutrition, and Health and Fitness, and just a great man. So let's bring him out.
Let's bring him out.
There he is.
There
hey,
he is.
Everybody. Hey, Ron, John, how are you?
All right, Rob, I got to tell you up front, you got big shoes to fill because
thank you very much for making me follow Jesse.
Yeah.
Hey,
Thanks.
hey,
It's like it's following like James Brown after you do a concert. Now James Brown. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
hey, when you talk about, and I mention this all the time. There will never be a hero crisis in the United States of America, because you can turn anywhere and at arm length you can find somebody. And when I look at Jesse Iwuji,
Yes.
just where he came from, an immigrant from Nigeria, came here based off the values that were instilled in him by his father that said, you will succeed when you come to the United States, and his personal drive to not only better himself, in schooling, but also as an athlete, and then to do something to say, I love driving fast cars, so I want to be a NASCAR driver, and to go out and do it. Just phenomenal. So, hey, we've got to thank you, because were it not for you and your network, we would not have him on here. We wouldn't have Mike Stedman next week, and we wouldn't have Chef Andre Rush the week after. So thank you for being here today,
Sure.
sir. So tell us what's going on with Rob Wilkins. Even though I talk to you all the time, how about you tell the audience on what you're doing now?
So what I'm doing now is, as a member of the President's Council of Physical Fitness, Sports, and Nutrition, is this COVID crisis has really emphasized the importance of physical fitness. Those who are able to stay more fit have a better chance of fighting the disease. It doesn't mean you won't catch it, but it means that more than likely, if you do, your body is strong enough to fight it off. So what I'm noticing is there are more and more studies being done about the importance of physical fitness. And it seems like our country wants to get back to health. For a while, it's on medicine. Medicine means new technologies, new pills, new equipment to help us live longer. But the bottom line is we need to get back to health. And that is eating properly, getting up and moving, exercising, and principles that we all learned in the military about, using your body. Your body is your biggest and strongest weapon you have. And as you have said many times, you want to be prepared for the worst day you may face in your life. So
absolutely.
we're trying to encourage people to get out and work out. Now, that doesn't mean you need to go to the gym. Maybe you walk in your neighborhood. Maybe you can't walk outside, so maybe you do things in your house. But I also noticed an increase of physical fitness trainers who have Zoom classes who are becoming influencers, because now they're showing people how to do it at home. So while the gym business might not be doing well, you can't buy weights because there's nothing left in Dick's. It's hard to Peloton and bikes because they've been sold out. So we may see an uptick of physical fitness overall in the country. Hopefully we start seeing a reduction in obesity. And physical fitness, for me personally, it just makes me say, like, I can accomplish anything, because if I'm fit, I might not be the smartest, but I think I have stamina that I can push forward and do things. And, you were one of the examples. Like I've always said, I met you at a WWE event. Had 16,000 people there. The wrestlers were great, but the person who fired me up the most was reached out to you the very next day, and I got to be his friend. I'm like, he's the SEAC. You just don't reach out to him. Well, he wrote me back that same day, and I thought that was the beginning of I guess 3 or 4 years now.
Yes, sir. 4 years now.
You've made time for everybody. You've always made time to make sure you talk about physical fitness, because you can't be fit to fight if you're not fit. You got to fight. It's all together. So, that's one of the things I'm kind of focused on right now, is trying to get America to, I'm not sure if we're saying get America fit again. Let's get America fit. If it's again, before, whatever it is, let's just get America fit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Rob, from looking at your background, first, it's thank you for coming on the show. It's a pleasure.
My pleasure.
A lot about you. It's kind of looking at your background and seeing kind of what led to you landing where you are now. I mean, yes, there's right place, right time, and all that, but you got to know your shit to get to be where you're at. So with a lot of the fans that we have, are into fitness and might want to look at that as potential career path as far as some of the things that you've done. So what did that look like for you?
So it was, I always say it's only in America. So I'm 19 years old. I got stationed in Germany, and I started playing basketball for the base team, and I got pushed around a lot because I was thin. So I decided to, I bought copies of Muscle and Fitness and Flex, and I wrote to Ben and Joe Weider, and I said, American Station Overseas, thank you for the information. Ben Weider wrote me back. Then Joe Weider sent me a Christmas card, and I just corresponded with them. They said, when you come back to the States, you know, let us know and we'll see what we can do. So fast forward, I got stationed in England, and I got stationed in Italy, and then I got stationed in Cocoa Beach, Florida, capital of bikinis. And, I wrote them, and they follow through. They made me a special advisor, and I became the military liaison. So then they gave me the opportunity to write, and I wasn't a writer. So Ben Weider told me, he says, you should go to the community college and take writing courses. So I did that. And then he said, I'm going to give you a column in Flex. Flex magazine at the time was the hardcore Bible of bodybuilding. But besides Flex, he gave me a column in Muscle and Fitness. So I'm, as far as I know, the only person who was active duty to have columns in Muscle and Fitness and Flex. So then I got introduced to Arnold Schwarzenegger and all these bodybuilders. And that was the start. It was, I'm not sure if it can happen nowadays the way that social media is, because a lot of the things we did was letter writing. We wrote back and forth to each other. So for somebody to write a letter back to you, you have to inspire them, or you have to motivate them, or show them that this relationship is worth their time. And that's what I did. So I did it. And ever since then, I've been connected to the Olympia. My good friend, Dan Solomon, was on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, yeah.
And Dan and I have been friends for about 25 years. And now he is on the top of the food chain for the bodybuilding world with the Mr. Olympia. And I got the position on as the member of the President's Council through my connection to bodybuilding, but also, maybe more importantly, because I was a member of the Air Force. They knew that I had the ability to take leadership role, to follow orders, to give orders, to stay sustained to the goal, stay dedicated. And one thing I always thought is, when I met the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, is General Goldfein. This is his coin. When the former Chief of Staff, I worked with him as a colonel, and he used to take me to lunch, and we talked about fitness and health. And once I became a member of this council, he gave me a shoulder grab and said, we are so proud of you. When the Chief of Staff of the Air Force says that to you, you're just motivated. So I'm always thinking, everything I do now, I represent the military, not just the Air Force, but all of us who have served our country. So it's a great honor to have the opportunity to do what I do, meet great people. Like I just talked to 𝘪𝘭𝘍 this morning.
Yeah.
And he's in D.C. The president said after his last speech, could you come to D.C.? So he's now here in D.C. talking to the president again. And I'm a Yankee fan, so Mariano Rivera is part of our council. I've watched the Dr. Oz show, so I, from time to time, I text with Dr. Oz or Bill Belichick. So for a sports fan and a person who loves health and fitness, I can't believe I'm at where I'm at.
So, Rob, for 4 years, I considered you more, obviously a very good friend, but you were kind of an advisor to me in terms of health and fitness of the force. And you remember when Secretary Mattis kind of did an assessment of the force, and 17% of the force was non-deployable due to health reasons. And then we had a problem with obesity in the military. Just your opinion, with your role on the President's Council and everything, how do we continue to get after not only making sure our military is prepared, but also for the youngsters that are coming up, that we will have to, kind of recruit to come in and be part of our nation's defense force in the future? How do we get after that? And you mentioned the obesity problem, and certainly childhood obesity is a problem. How do you think we need to get after that? And as Ron and I say all the time, to get to the left of what's going on?
It starts in the home. I think between 71 and 75% of children between 18 and 24 cannot serve our military right now.
That's right.
And it's because of many issues, but one of the biggest ones is lack of physical fitness. When I was in grade school, we had gym class. We had gym class most days of the week. We got home, we went outside. It was always moving. Well, now, even with my own son, he's 13, we keep him active, but if it was up to him, he'd probably be playing Xbox and doing some things on the computer more often. So when you have a parent who doesn't have physical fitness as something that they believe in themselves, it could be more difficult. But I think that you can't have a healthy country if the kids aren't healthy. So we have, my personal goal is that we have gym class. You know, PE is an important part of nation building. You know, physical fitness is an important part of providing folks for our military, but just to lower our costs and our bills for our healthcare costs and just quality of life. You know, those who are physically, you don't normally see people who are obese living long lives. And when you look at, you know, some of our World War II veterans, some of those who are still spry, they'll tell you they get up with a walk, with a jog, with a little bit of weight training. You know, it's something they learned back during World War II that they've made a part of their lives, where it's integral. And so we have to make physical fitness a really, really important component of how we live our normal lives.
Awesome.
Rob, I was looking at some research on, you know, when the last time the country was I guess fit, and what I was able to see was when JFK was in office, he had that program across America, right? And where it was, you know, getting people up and moving, and you see that, and it inspired a lot of people. And then I started remembering, like, oh, okay, that's where the monkey bars and all that other kind of stuff, you know, kind of came from. Is that where your focus is kind of put that messaging out again, and for today's generation, you know, what kind of messaging is it that's actually attracting them to move and do things?
Well, a lot of them, they follow influencers, they follow movie stars, they follow their favorite athletes. So if we can get their favorite athletes and influencers to say, you know, I'm not doing this workout to look good in this outfit, I'm doing this workout to be healthy, to have longer mobility, to live a longer quality of life, then I think that's a key. Also, again, it all starts in the home. If you can't encourage the parents to encourage them to work out and have their children work out, it's really, really tough, because the school only can do but so much. The teachers only can do but so much. And I think the best lessons you always get are from your parents, or from the people who are around helping raise you. So if we can encourage people and families to maybe do it together, like I got surprised last week. My wife and son bought me a bike. I told them, don't buy a bike for me, because I thought I would never ride it. Can I tell you, I've had a bike every day since I've got it. I'm still going to the gym, but we want to do things together as a family. So we're riding around our neighborhood, and it's a fun thing. So now, if you live in certain parts of the country, maybe in the inner cities, it's tough, or rural areas, but there are things you can do together, even if it's doing commercials, 20 push-ups until the next segment of the show comes on, 15 jumping jacks. There are things you can do to keep moving again. So it all starts with the desire. If you don't really want to do it, I can't tell you anything. But if you want to try it, there's always a way. And so I receive tons of emails every day almost, where people just asking for a little bit of advice. And if you can just encourage them and inspire them just a tad to take one more step, like I've often said, the Great Wall of China was built one brick at a time. So today you can't run a mile, but maybe you can walk around the block. Then in 2 or 3 days, you walk 2 blocks. And eventually you're going to be writing me and telling me I'm ready for my first 5K. You just have to stick with it. And like Jesse said, you got to see it. You got to see big. You got to see that no matter what you're doing in physical fitness, trying something is better than doing nothing. Because I think I read something, even the Grim Reaper is fat and obese nowadays.
Hey, Rob. So, you know, one of my phrases that I have used, you know, for the last 15 years, PME hard, and it's the link between mental and emotional fitness to physical fitness, and that we, you know, we don't need just people just to be tough, but we need them to be hard, especially in the military. How important to you is the physical piece in terms of a foundation to having mental and emotional stability and fitness?
Well, I think being physically fit just encourages me, inspires me for everything, because I feel strong that I do things. There's an image. I remember when I first left Cocoa Beach to go to the Pentagon, and my boss at the time said, be sure that your boots are polished. Be sure that your uniform is crisp, because you represent the nation to foreigners, especially when you're in the metro in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. The thought was always to look crisp, to look sharp, because the first image somebody may from a foreign country who gets of our military may be me. I might be the first they saw. So I always want to look like, bring it, because I can handle it. But I think that it also gives me the ability to have stamina. You know, when people get tired, a lot of times people are just about to make it to success and then they give up. Well,
Yeah.
I won't give up because, first of all, I'm mad that I'm not getting whatever I'm supposed to be getting. So then I just dig down deeper and I know that, hey, I was able to bench press 300 pounds. Well, take that same discipline, that same dedication to this task. Whatever it is, I think that I can do it.
Yeah.
I feel strong. I feel confident. Joe Weider always used to say that, you know, he wanted to be a powerful person. He wanted to be strong, not a bully, but he wanted to be strong and powerful because it was an important aspect of his life, which was very much a part of his success.
Awesome.
Now, Rob, I see that you were, you know, as you're talking about where you've got to where you're at.
Yes.
You know, one of the things that we discuss, you know, John and I were just doing NCOPD week last week over at Goodfellow Air Force Base, where we had an opportunity to talk to NCO Corps, and we have more of them coming up. One of the things that we talk about is the power of networking.
Yes.
And a lot of any service member, when you ask them, you know, they don't know a whole lot about it. They don't want to know a whole lot about it because of that fear and, you know, talking with others. Can you explain for our audience how important was networking for you, and when did you actually start that?
So networking for me got me to meet John because I met those tickets. If I had been, you know, normally I worked in nuclear detection for a while, so I worked in SCIF for many years, which means keep your mouth shut, don't talk much about what you do. And so when I got assigned to Washington, D.C., I worked with combat forces. Well, most of the officers in there, they were very gregarious. So it kind of pulled me out of the shell. And then winning awards and going to events, and, you know, D.C. is full of banquets and all these opportunities. So I just started seeing the people that were very successful were also people who were able to open up and speak. You know, you can't be afraid. Like Jesse said, his legs were shaking. Well, I kind of had the same experience, you know, like you're talking to somebody who's leading the military, like someone of John's caliber, or meeting General Milley the first time. These people have the weight of the world on their shoulders. And now you have 2 to 3 minutes with them. You better say something impactful. Otherwise, you know, you can see their eyes darting around to get away from you.
Yeah.
I tried to find, like, what can I say impactful? How would they remember me? But let's try to meet a lot of people, because then people that you have success with start introducing you to other folks. So then your network grows from 25 to 50 to 100 to where you become a person of influence. So just this week, I wrote a short piece for LinkedIn about, I talked to a friend of mine who's a Marine. He's been in 15 years. He's only been in the military for combat. He's never been in the peace time, but he's afraid to get out. He's got a Purple Heart. He's got a Bronze Star, but he's afraid to get out of the military because he doesn't know what the business world's going to bring him.
Yeah.
That language, he doesn't know. You know, in the military, you have ribbons, you have uniform, you have structure. You know that where you stand. Well, in the business world, the person who's wearing flip-flops and is the youngest person in the room may be the CEO and the owner of that company.
Yeah.
And he might not speak the same language you do. So I think a part of it is and John and I have talked about this, about how officers usually, they do well on networking and creating a brand and selling themselves after the military.
Yeah.
We do that as NCOs too. We need to be able to say, I've done some amazing things. I'm a freedom fighter. I've helped make this country what it is. So now it's my turn to take part in the American dream of using my brand, my knowledge, my information, and making that into a career or a business and helping others as I help myself.
Yeah. Preach, Rob.
Yes.
Let them know.
Practice again. John and I have talked about it. You know, as I said, you know, you have to put on your own oxygen mask, just like pilots say. You put on your own oxygen mask before you help everybody else. So
absolutely,
you do for yourself, and the more influential you become, and the more resources you have at your disposal, the more you can help others.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting down towards the end here, Rob, but now we're going to do some rapid fire on you here, if you don't mind. Okay.
All right, let's go.
We're gonna come at you pretty hard here. So Ron, I'll go ahead and start. All right, Rob. First of all, you know, we're talking fitness, we're talking health, and I know you're a big bodybuilder. You got to give us at least one bicep pose, man. Come on, you got to show the audience that you still got the guns there. There, look, that's what I'm talking about.
It's still there, but I'm the worst athlete in my house. My wife was a professional fitness competitor in the International Federation of Bodybuilders, and she played lacrosse for Boston University. My son, he's playing travel basketball and baseball, football. He's an all-county orchestra and viola. So I'm the mutt. I'm actually the one who carries all the bags for those two superstars.
Yeah, those arms, you generally can't buy those at Walmart. It has to come through hard work. So just tell us about your routine, your fitness routine. What's your week look like normally, and on how you keep yourself in shape?
Well, fortunately, since my gym has opened back up after COVID, so I go to the gym most days of the week. I do social distancing. I wear a mask. I try to stay away from everybody, but I needed that outlet because almost as I said to my wife, every day you wake up and there's a new stressful situation. You just don't know. You go to bed and the day's kind of quiet and, you wind down, then you wake up and then the in us again. Has there been an increase in COVID? Has there been something wrong? Like just now, the NBA is not playing because of the shooting in Wisconsin. So there's so many stresses. So I decided that I need to get to the gym to work out those stresses. So it's usually about 30 minutes of cardio and about 30 to 45 minutes of weight training. I try to do most body parts a week. And the American Legion has this new program, 100 miles between now and Veterans Day. So I'm participating with them in getting sure that veterans get a chance to work out most days of the week.
Awesome. Go ahead, Ron.
So you met John at the WWE.
I met him at where the Wizards play. John, what's the name of that?
The Verizon Center. The
Verizon Center, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, when you met John, there's a couple things that usually happen. One is did you know, number one, I don't know if you knew who he was.
I did know who he was, yes.
You did know who he is. All right. So the second one I'm going to ask you, which he always asks everybody, and this is more of just a test of confidence, but when you saw John, did you think, I can kick his ass?
You know what? I was sitting in the seat, so I knew who he was, but I did a quick lookup of his schedule or of his bio, and I said, nah, I can't. He's a true American patriot. He's done so much for our country, defending our country, so I'm not going to even talk that smack to him. That's the kind of guy I need in my corner. So,
right.
I was smart enough. I think he probably has forgotten more how to hurt people than I've known in my entire life. So he's a bad man.
I appreciate you making me feel good, Rob.
I'll remind you.
Hey, Rob, so it's truly been an honor to have you on the show. But more than that, thank you for being a close personal friend of mine. Thank you for being that veteran that is up there on the President's Council that can, work that bridge between our military and civilians so that we can continue to get after the health of our country and the fitness of our country. And it's truly an honor to call you friend, Rob, and I look forward to continuing dialogue and collaborating with you in the future. So thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity for both of you. Thanks, Ron and John. I appreciate it. Keep at it. You're doing great work here. And one thing I would think, maybe one of the future shows, looking at maybe having veterans who have successful businesses come on your show, because again, talking to so many veterans, they are afraid of the business world. And I think if you or your, because of what you do, you can bring on 2 or 3 veterans who maybe have struggled mightily, but are now successful.
Yeah.
Sharing that word with fellow veterans may be very, very impactful. Maybe one of the most impactful shows that you've ever done.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you, Rob Wilkins. Take care, sir. I'll talk to you soon. Wow, brother.
What a great
guest,
show.
man.
Yeah, I mean,
what a great show. I'm so fired up now, brother. I might grab my e-tool and just start tearing shit up, man, because between Jesse and Rob, they've got me so fired up. I may have to go out in the garage and get another workout in today.
Pounding it down, I got the old hatchet here, so
I know, man. Yeah. But hey, great show again this week, brother. Next week we have Iron Mike Stedman from Ironbound Boxing USA in New Jersey. Mike is also a Naval Academy graduate. I forgot to ask Jesse if he could kick Mike's ass, but we'll ask Mike about that because they're both Naval Academy grads. Mike was a Marine, And we're looking forward to having him on next week, brother. And then in 2 weeks from today, Chef Andre Rush will be with us. So
yeah,
looking forward to that, brother.
Absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to seeing him. And all of you out there, remember, this is sponsored. Ron and John Show is brought to you by Veterans Lending Group, where we can ETS, PCS, or retire wherever it is that you go. We are licensed in all 50 states. And remember, when you're looking for a VA home loan specialist, we are the Special Operations VA Home Loan Financing. And make sure you stay tuned every Wednesday, 1600 Pacific time for the Ron and John Show. And we will see you next week.
Boom. Take care, brother.